Hello everyone, my name is Valentino Morazzo Nunzi, and I'm currently doing my thesis with guidance from Ramiro Freudenthal and Lia Frenkel from the Universidad de Buenos Aires. And we are interested in studying an associative long-term memory in Drosophila melanogaster under predation by associative. What I'm talking about is an actual predation from a spider, more naturalistic than other conventional unconditioned stimulus. Here we can see how this animal preys on the flies. Let's see. And we are also interested in the response from the animals close to it. The training protocol that we utilize consists in adding 20 flies to 4 different arenas. In each of them, there can be or not a spider. This differentiates training and control animals. The control animals will spend the same 2 hours on these arenas, but in absence of a spider. Meanwhile, the trained animals can have a variable number of predations, and both in frequency and in intensity. After 2 hours, we will take the flies out and leave them for 24 hours in darkness and add them once again to the same arenas in the same context the next day, and then test them for 30 minutes to see what happens. Here we show how we also analyze the training session, where we quantify both distance and immobility of each fly in the moment of each predation. And what we have found is that, in fact, the distance is important when we analyze the response of each fly. In fact, the flies closer to the predation tend to be more immobile when compared with the ones that are further away. This, we think, confirms that, in fact, predation works as an unconditioned stimulus for this animal. Afterwards, we analyzed the movement in the testing session, the mobility, and what we found is that the trained animals have a lower motor activity than the control ones. These are the results of 7 different independent experiments. And in fact, if we analyze in minute 3, we can find a significant difference in these 2 groups. And we also have pretty amazing control in which the animals were also trained, both groups, train and control in absence of a spider, trained with a spider, but without predations. This means that the flies were 2 hours in presence of a spider, but no predations occurred. And what we found is that the curves are really similar, and in fact, there are no difference for any of the times that we analyzed. What this tells us is that the unconditioned stimulus previously talked about, in fact, generates, and we can see memory retentions. We were also interested in studying the context dependence of this memory. To do this, we changed slightly our training protocol. 2 of the groups previously shown are now in a blue background when trained, and when tested, 24 hours later, they are in a white background, and the texture is slightly changed. And what we found is, first, that when seeing these curves, the trained animals in a congruent context between training and testing tend to have a lower motor activity. Meanwhile, the other 3 groups are pretty similar. In fact, when analyzing minute 3, we can see that trained animals in the congruent context are significantly different than the other 3 groups. Most importantly, the control in the same context. Meanwhile, the trained animals in an incongruent context are not significantly different than the controls in the incongruent context. What this tells us is that there's a strong context-dependent component in this memory. To sum up, what we found is that during training, the proportion of flies that are immobile after the unconditioned stimulus is higher, closer to set predation than further away. This would confirm that, in fact, predation is an unconditioned stimulus that works pretty well. Also, Drosophila shows a memory of this unconditioned stimulus 24 hours after the training protocol, that memory retention depends on at least one successful predation on the trained animals during the training session, and also the memory retention is dependent on the context, meaning that there is a context-dependent component in this memory, because when we change context, the memory retention is no longer seen. Thank you so much for listening to me and your attention. We will be happy to answer any of your questions. Feel free to contact us in any moment. Thank you very much.